All right, welcome everyone. Today we're diving deep into Inside Out 2. If you were captivated by this film like millions worldwide, you are in the right place. We're going to go way beyond just like your typical movie review and really explore what makes Inside Out 2 tick. The storytelling, the themes that resonated with so many people. Oh, and did you know? It raked in almost $1.7 billion globally.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? Really shows you how much the film resonated with people. It was entertaining, but also tackled these big issues like adolescence, understanding your emotions, even like the whole idea of sense of self,
Yeah, for sure. And just a super quick recap for anyone who hasn't seen the first Inside Out. We met Riley, a young girl, all her emotions, joy, sadness, fear, anger, disgust, through like these little characters in her head actually controlling her actions, reactions, the whole thing.
Right, and those emotions, they work together, sometimes clash, but they guided Riley through her childhood. And now, in Inside Out 2, Riley's a teenager, dealing with a whole new set of challenges, so her emotional landscape, way more crowded.
Okay, so Riley's 13 now, right? New city, starting high school, all that awkwardness of being a teenager. I mean, everyone can relate to that feeling.
Yeah.
Of being kind of stuck between childhood and adulthood.
Absolutely, and the film nails that transition. And they bring in this cool concept, sense of self. Basically, it's all these core memories that shape Riley's beliefs about, well, who she is. It actually kind of lines up with some real psychology theories about identity.
Oh, wow, so it's not just a movie thing. That's really cool. But of course, Joy wants to just fill Riley's sense of self with sunshine and rainbows. Typical Joy, right? But life's not always like that.
No, definitely not. And the film shows that. It gets into the messiness of feeling a whole range of emotions. You've got Joy wanting all positivity, but that clashes with just how life is. That's where things get really interesting.
And then, bam, puberty hits. They actually have a puberty alarm in the film. I mean, hilarious, but also kind of genius.
It really is. It's their way of introducing these new complicated emotions, anxiety, envy, embarrassment. You even have ennui in there. It's like Riley's suddenly got this overloaded control panel and she's clueless about how to handle all these feelings.
I love how they show that visually, all this chaos in her mind, these new emotions fighting for space with the original 5. You can just tell things are going to get messy.
For sure. And that's where the film really dives into emotional intelligence. It's not just about feeling happy all the time. It's about understanding and dealing with all those emotions, especially when you're going through massive changes like, well, being a teenager.
Exactly. And remember that scene? Riley gets invited to hockey camp. Joy's all excited, but then anxiety. Immediate overdrive, worried about making the team, fitting in, the whole deal.
Yeah, that's such a relatable struggle for everyone, right? New challenge, do you go in with excitement, like Joy? Or get bogged down by the fear and worry, like anxiety's doing?
And for Riley, it's even more tricky, right? Her best friends, Bree and Grace, they're going to different high schools, so she's dealing with new friends, new emotions. It's a lot.
Absolutely. And that's where the film taps into this universal feeling of wanting to belong, peer pressure, all that. Riley starts acting differently, trying to be friends with the cool hockey player Val, even if it puts a strain on her other friendships.
And then back in headquarters, joy, sadness, anger, fear, disgust. They're locked up in a memory vault. They're sidelined while these new emotions are running the show.
It's such a powerful visual, right? Like sometimes our strongest emotions just take over, especially when we're stressed. And that leads to all sorts of things for Riley as she's figuring out hockey camp and her friends and everything.
It's like she's not even herself anymore. The self built on those core memories and the first 5 emotions.
Yeah, exactly. And getting back to that true self, it's going to be a wild ride full of surprises.
All right, I'm hooked. What happens next?
Okay, so while Riley's at camp trying to fit in the original emotions, they break out of that memory vault. But here's the twist: sadness. She decides to stay behind.
Wait, what? Sadness stays? That doesn't sound very joyful at all.
It's not, but it sets up one of the biggest themes of the film. It's about accepting all your emotions, even the ones we think are bad. Sadness plays a huge role in Riley finding her way back to her true self. So sadness is gone. The other emotions are like, okay, we got to get back to headquarters, help Riley. But they're totally lost in this massive maze of Riley's long-term memory. It's chaotic, kind of mirroring what's going on with Riley at a hockey camp.
Oh, that tryout scene. So stressful. She finds Coach Robert's notebook, realizes she's not as good as the other girls. Then she accidentally hurts Grace during a drill, ends up in the penalty box. Total defeat.
That scene, it's huge. It's like all that pressure on Riley, the new place, social anxiety, these intense emotions, it all explodes and she has this full-blown panic attack.
And back in headquarters, joy and anxiety are seeing this meltdown. They're overwhelmed. Like they've lost control completely, no idea how to help.
It shows you the limits of Joy's whole everything's fine thing, right? She's so busy being positive, she misses how real Riley's fears are. And anxiety, frozen, totally paralyzed by how intense Riley's feeling.
They're both realizing their usual way of doing things doesn't work anymore. They got to find a new way to understand and help Riley.
Exactly, and it's in this crazy moment that they actually start to see each other differently. Joy finally gets the anxiety really cares about Riley, starts to understand that anxiety isn't always bad.
Like they're not enemies anymore, they're on the same team.
Yes, and that change is super important for Riley to have her own breakthrough. Remember that scene? Joy and anxiety are trying to fix Riley's sense of self, but the panic attack just keeps going.
Yeah, like they're putting a puzzle together, but the pieces just don't fit.
Right, and it's when anxiety says, I don't even know who Riley is anymore, that Joy has this epiphany. She realizes she doesn't either. They were so busy controlling Riley's emotions, they forgot who she really was.
Wow, that's deep. Like they were forcing Riley into a box that didn't fit anymore.
Exactly. That realization changes everything for them and for the movie's message. It's dangerous to try and hide or deny emotions. By pushing sadness away, Joy messed up the balance in Riley.
Like they were painting Riley's life with only bright colors, but you need the dark shades too, right? To make a real picture.
Perfect analogy. And that leads to this powerful moment. Joy takes away Riley's old sense of self, lets a new one form, one that includes all of Riley's experiences, the good and the bad.
So they're not erasing the sadness, the fear, the anxiety. They're making it part of who Riley is.
Exactly. And there's actually psychology research that backs this up about emotional regulation. Trying to bury your emotions can make them worse, harder to handle.
It's like holding a beach ball underwater. The harder you push, the faster it pops back up.
Right. Accepting your emotions, even the tough ones, helps you deal with them in a healthy way. You make them part of yourself.
So what happens to Riley when this new, more balanced sense of self kicks in?
Well, it's not instant, but you see her calming down. The panic attack fades, she connects with Bree and Grace again. She even becomes friends with Val and the other hockey players. But she stays true to herself.
It's like watching a flower bloom after a long winter.
Exactly. It shows how powerful self-acceptance is. Riley embraces every part of herself, even the messy parts, and she finds this peace and belonging that's just, well, inspiring.
And I love that last scene. She's nicking her phone for the hockey team results, all nervous and excited, but then she sees herself in the mirror and smiles. And it's a real smile, you know? Confident.
Yeah, that smile says it all. Riley's whole again. She's not pretending anymore. That's huge.
Makes me think about all the times I tried to hide parts of myself, thinking I had to be perfect or happy all the time.
We've all been there. But Inside Out 2 reminds us our strength is in accepting our imperfections. Life's got light and dark, joy and sadness. It's those contrasts that make it interesting.
Okay, as we wrap up our deep dive into Inside Out 2, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. How has your own sense of self changed over time? What role have your emotions played in making you who you are?
It's a big question, right? And I think Inside Out 2 shows us it's okay to not be okay. Like, it's fine to feel sad, anxious, frustrated. Any of those emotions we think are like negative, they're not the enemy. They're actually trying to tell us something important.
Well, I like that. Like they're sending a message, trying to get our attention. So instead of ignoring them, we should listen.
Yeah. And when we let ourselves feel everything, the whole spectrum, we get stronger. We can handle anything life throws at us.
You know, I used to think happiness was the goal. Like that's what it meant to be successful. But this movie changed that for me. It showed me real happiness comes from accepting everything about yourself, even the stuff you want to hide.
That's such a powerful realization. So many people struggle with that. We're told to be happy, positive all the time. And yeah, those are great, but it's not the whole picture.
It's like only eating dessert, right?
Yeah.
Might be tasty at first, but eventually you need something more.
Exactly. That's what accepting all your emotions does. It's like a balanced meal for your soul. You connect with yourself, with others in a deeper, realer way.
And the film also shows how important it is to have people who support you.
Yeah.
Right? Riley's parents, her friends, even when things are tough, they give her that sense of belonging. They help her through the rough patches.
So true. We need those connections, those people we can trust. It's like having someone there to catch you when you're learning to walk a tightrope. You're more confident to take risks, try new things.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Inside Out 2, I want to leave you all with one last thought. How has your own sense of self changed over time? What have your emotions done to make you who you are today?
Really think about that. The moments that shaped you, the good, the bad, the happy, the sad, All of it has made you...
And remember, just like Riley, embrace it all. The light, the dark, the ups, the downs. That's where your true strength is.
Absolutely. And hey, maybe there's even more to find in Inside Out too. Watch it again with fresh eyes, see what else you notice about your own emotions.
That's what's so cool about a deep dive. There's always more to discover, more to understand. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and until next time, keep exploring.